Hello, Vankahs.
What's up, Vankahs? Hola, Vankahs. What a day. What a race. This was crazy, Guenther. This was crazy.
Yeah, it ended up being crazy. In the beginning, it was a battle about strategy, because what was done there. And then it went crazy when the safety car came out after Kimi had an issue.
Guenther, are you more of a cerebral guy with these races, or do you like chaos? Which race do you prefer? Were you disappointed that the chessboard was flipped over by the safety car, or are you a fan of chaos?
I'm a fan of chaos. I thrive in chaos. You know that.
Yeah.
That's me. If there's no chaos, it's boring. I don't like boring.
Okay.
That's right. Well, this was not boring. There's plenty of chaos to discuss. We will be discussing all things Max Verstappen, the penalty, George Russell, Stake F1 team kick Sauber. So much to discuss on this episode of Vankah Hours, brought to you by BetMGM. But let's cue the music and get to it.
Oh, fuck smash, my dog. I'm got the fucking Steiner and I'm back for more. No, fuck smash, my dog. I've got the fucking Steiner and it's time for Vankah Hours, baby. Vankah Hours, baby. Vankah Hours, baby. Vankah Hours, baby.
Make sure that you are subscribed wherever you are listening to this. Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts. Be subscribed, baby. Tell them, Guenther.
You have to subscribe. You have to listen to Brian, because otherwise we get upset and we come and get you.
That's right. That's right. All right, and we are back. Okay. We need to start with Max Verstappen. This final moments of the race, put on the wrong tire, gets tapped by Leclerc, gets overtaken by Russell, told to give the place back, rams into Russell. What are your takeaways from Max's behavior at the end of this race?
I think he panic maybe is the wrong word, but I think he lost his mind there. He was not used to that. I mean, he was so upset about the tires they put onto him. I think that triggered that. And not many drivers, when he got on the gas and got sideways before the start, at the restart basically, there's not many drivers which couldn't catch a car like this. I mean, that was pretty brutal, He catched it, but obviously in his mind it was like, I'm done here, I'm fucked, basically, and just then couldn't get it together anymore. It was weird because, he's a little bit temperamental, but not like this much, So I think he was so disappointed because in the end he did a good race until then. The 3-stop of Red Bull was very good, was very, I think they pushed McLaren pretty hard as they can with the car they've got. But no, but Max just, in the end there, he did everything what he normally shouldn't be doing.
Well, we'll get to the penalty in a second. We'll get to the issue with George Russell. Let's start with the tire strategy, because up until that point, seemed like Red Bull actually pulled the fast one on the entire grid. They killed it. They did the 3-stop. They put him on the softs immediately on the first pit stop, and then all of a sudden, it all comes crashing down. They bring him in. They put him on the hards. I mean, obviously, Max was not happy with that. It seemed like everyone at home, even dummies like me, could see, why would you put him on the hards? Why not just leave him out on the softs? What do you think of that?
What would you have done?
Leave him out.
I think I would have left him out on the softs. He would have been in first place. He would have had track position. And I'll take Max Verstappen on used softs, with everyone else coming out on other used softs, not as used, but I'll take that over fresh hards with 6 laps to go.
Difficult to say because they had another set of softs there, but they were used. They had the same amount of laps on as the tires he was on, But they came out of a tire warmer, so that's always an advantage when you do that. So it's a fine line, but obviously the decision to get him new hards was for sure you cannot say most wrong one. that one not to do. You cannot have the most wrong one, but if you can pick one, that is the you wouldn't do. And I think they came to that conclusion. Obviously hindsight is 50-50. We are all hindsight engineers, but I think when I saw him coming out on that one, and I was told he had some used soft ones. I didn't know that they were 7 laps used. I think the same amount that he had on the car. But they would be in a better state because they come out of a tire warmer. They haven't been doing 7 laps of racing. They did qualifying, which is a lot less demanding because actually you do 2 laps fast ones. The rest you're doing in or out laps, So anyway, but yeah, I think you're right. The best one would have been leave him out there. For sure, he would finish on the podium because the Ferrari couldn't catch him if they leave him out. No chance.
How much of his frustration do you think was, okay, they put me on bad tires, I'm getting overtaken, and how much of you think is like cumulative of his experience at Red Bull this last year?
I think at that moment, the majority was what happened right there. I'm on the wrong tire. I mean, when he was sideways there accelerating, he was like, wow, I lost it, but he catched it. And then Leclerc goes by. He tries to push Leclerc onto the dirty side of the track. Leclerc doesn't have any of it, So you're pissed off at that one. And then your team tells you, let George Russell by, It's just like the amount of... I think in that moment, he didn't actively think about the whole what happened up to now or in which position he is with the car he has got, but obviously in the back of his mind that is always there when you go in there. You're not happy, So it's easier to burn the fuse when you're already not happy, So, but I think at that moment just too many bad or not good things to him happened, and he just overreacted.
Okay, let's go through the series of events. So they put him on the bad tire. They start the race. He has that wobble. Leclerc overtakes him. Now, on the straight, he pushes him to the dirty side. As you said, Leclerc wasn't having any of it. Leclerc goes over to the clean side, does tap him. There's been a little bit of debate about whether that was something that maybe was needed to be looked at in terms of the safety on a straight, tapping at those speeds. Do you have any thoughts on that little moment?
I think they both were pushing it. One was going right, one was going left. In the end, nothing happened. So you would not have a culprit. I mean, in the end, they both were smart enough to let go. And, we all know where the racing line is. And Leclerc was at that stage, I think, in front, So, and Max knew that he had to let go. Otherwise, he would have pushed him more. But he couldn't. It was no point with the tires yet, So.
Okay, so then George Russell overtakes. There's been now debate about whether that was a clean overtake because he wobbled upon the overtake. But it was enough to make the Red Bull engineers say, give the place back. Your thoughts on Red Bull telling Max to give the place back?
When they showed it, I was surprised that he gave the place back. Obviously, he didn't give it back normally, There was something in there, There was a Max moment in giving back there, He was giving back something else as well, not only the place, So,
that's right.
But it's like, it's one of these things. Is obviously, I think the stewards said they wouldn't have demanded to give the place back. They can say that one now. They would maybe do something completely different if he wouldn't have given the place back. You never know what else would have happened. So it's one of these questions we will never know the answer to. Because, but I was quite surprised that in the end he gave it back, because knowing Max normally, he's quite stubborn on these things. But he did it, and it's one of these things.
So what do you think? People are speculating, was this a bit of a Michael Schumacher moment? Was he trying to overtake around? Like, what do you think actually happened there in the actual incident when they touched?
When they touched, or when he gave the place back?
When Max, quote unquote, gave the place back.
Okay. When it was pretty clear what he did, though. I mean, even he admitted that he did that. I mean, there was no doubt about it. If he says, "Oh, this happened by accident," it's like, "Wow, man," No, I mean, he obviously wasn't happy with that and showed his disrespect. I think, So,
do you think there was an added element because it was George? Do you think it was personal? Do you think if it was Nico Hulkenberg or something, you think you would hit him?
Difficult to say. I mean, in that moment, I think in that moment, in the state Max was, he would have done it to anybody. He didn't look anymore who it was. He was so pissed, that he was just like, it could have been, in my opinion, anybody, and he would have done the same because he was just not happy.
There's been a bit of discussion around maybe the Red Bull decision to give the place back being a strategic one given Max's super license points. That he's close to maybe getting a race ban. He's at 11 now. He was at 8 before. Maybe they're thinking, let's just give the place back. You're on the bad tires anyway. It's not like you're going to be able to, survive these next 6 laps on these tires. Who cares? Do you think that was like part of GP's decision?
No. I don't think so. In that moment in time, I don't think he thought about penalty points. I think they, because lately there was not places given back, so they were really worried that he gets a penalty for it, So they just, in that moment in time, and now if somebody says, yeah, that's what I was thinking, I don't know if you are thinking it or you're saying it now to look smart. But in that, it's so tense also on pit wall. I mean, you've got seconds to decide these things. You haven't got an hour to debate it and to look at the history and the stats and all that one because, you would never give a position back just for that one. Because in the end, he collected some penalty points anyway, even if not wanted. So, but no, I don't think that was part of it. I think they genuinely said, let's stay out of trouble and, because a few times it happened that lately that the stewards were very strict with giving position back. So they were more worried about because they didn't expect that he's going to run into the other guy, So if he wouldn't have done that one, so.
Right. Okay. So let's assume for a second that he hit George Russell on purpose. Let's just assume. It's very interesting. I went to it's very interesting. You go to the onboard and it's not even there. You just see his wing. But conspiracy theory there. But let's assume he hit him on purpose, right? Do you think that the 10-second penalty was appropriate? I mean, you should not be allowed to hit somebody on purpose, right? I mean, shouldn't there be some kind of...
You are not allowed to put... You are not allowed, not you should. You are not allowed to put... to hit somebody on purpose. I don't know exactly the...
Shouldn't that be red card? Red card. That's a red card.
Flag. Black flag.
Black flag.
Black flag. We're not playing soccer here,
Yeah, I know, but you know what I'm saying? Like, assuming it was on purpose, shouldn't that be an immediate ban?
I think what you have to, they could have done that one disqualification afterwards. You could not give him the black flag there because you wouldn't have time to decide. The stewards wouldn't have time to decide because, they obviously need to look at what really happened before making a wrong decision. So, but I do not know on top of my head now the regulation what. But then again, if it is on purpose, I'm sure that there is a provision in the regulation that you get disqualified because you don't hit somebody on purpose. But then again, how did they see it? How on purpose was it? Mitigate. All that stuff. What you hear with that?
Exactly. I mean, you can look at the telemetry, can't you? Can't you look at like how much gas? It should.
How much steering he puts on everything? Yeah. I mean, afterwards you can see it. Yeah.
Pretty obvious.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious. Yeah. But maybe I don't know. I mean,
and it's not me. I think it's not me hitting him. It's Max. Like I could hit someone like that by accident. Max Verstappen, he's the best driver in the world. He doesn't hit people by accident like that.
Yeah, but I think a reason why he didn't apologize is, not to admit that he did it on purpose. I mean, because if he admits it, then obviously you're not allowed to hit somebody on purpose.
Well, he kind of did apologize. He kind of did,
He didn't apologize. He admitted it was a mistake. He made a mistake.
He said things happened that shouldn't have happened. Things happened that shouldn't have happened. And I was mad, and that's why they happened. But things happened that shouldn't. So that's, But
it doesn't mean, but it's not saying it, It's just saying, things happened, I was nervous, I was upset, and I lost the car. But he never said I drove into him, So.
It's one thing leads to another, and I crashed into George Russell. Yeah,
Correct. But because otherwise you could have a disqualification, yeah.
That's as close
here's
as
the
you're
question.
ever going to get
Like,
to a mea culpa from him. But
yeah,
anyway,
that's reading the tea leaves. That's about as
Yeah.
Your Honor, it was me. I did it. I am Spartacus, as you'll get. But I mean, but unless someone admits it, I mean, what's the barrier to entry here? What's the barrier to penalty? You have to admit that I hit him intentionally. It's like we can see what happened. I mean, it's obvious.
Yeah, now it's obvious, It's like, it's a good question for the stewards, why they didn't disqualify him, because you cannot do this. Because now, again, what did we do? We set a precedent. Next time, if somebody does the same, it's a 10-second penalty. It's not a disqualification. Because,
right.
it's...
People get 10-second penalties for a lot less than that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Here's my question. Max, I think, has this... has a ethos that the world's against him. That it's everyone against me, and he's had trouble with the stewards. He obviously has trouble with Mohammed bin Salem and the FIA. Toto Wolff came out after this and said that, many great champions, let me get the exact quote. He says that great sports people sometimes think that the world is against them. Do you think that the motorsport world is against Max Verstappen?
No. But when you are so good like him, a lot of people, obviously you create envy, a lot of people doesn't want you to be where you are, and he's quite a character as well. He doesn't try to please people. He doesn't help himself that people like him, You like him for his skills, but I mean, I think he's a very good guy, and he did a mistake again, like we all do, and he just couldn't control himself and run into George. So maybe going back to the question from Matt, is if we are now the stewards, we should say he should get disqualified for the race. Nothing would change for him anyway. He would lose one more point. But again, right. You would set a precedent that you're not allowed to do this, because now if somebody's fighting for P15. The poor man's battles in the back, it's like, and you take somebody out, you get 10 seconds. So I just take somebody out, I get 10 seconds. It's good. And you can use that to your advantage. If you know that the guy, let's say you're 11th, the 12th guy is 20 seconds behind you. Say, I take the car, I cannot get past the car, which is 10, so I take him out, I get 10 seconds and I'm there. Because you can go back on that precedent set, in my opinion. That's my opinion, because you always have to be the same with everyone.
How dangerous do you think K-Mag would have been if he had known that this was all he would have gotten for taking people out on purpose?
In his good days, I mean, he would have taken the whole field out, because then he gets 190 seconds and he would win the race,
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
exactly. That right. You take everybody out, you get you
190 seconds, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, George Russell would have enjoyed doing that in Monaco, last week.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He got the same for not doing anything, It's like,
He got the same for cutting the chicane, not running.
Exactly, exactly, yeah. Not taking somebody
Holy crap, you just figured it out. You could literally just take out everybody.
Yeah.
Get a 190 penalty. And you win the race.
Cruise to victory.
Yeah.
And no one even and everyone else behind you gets 0 points. That's even better.
Yeah.
No. You still have. If you take them out at the beginning, because otherwise, if they go into classification, I think, But you need to have done this, sure. But anyway, it's like that would be a good strategy. I think if we three apply now for an F1 license, we will not get one.
I think that ship has sailed long ago. Okay, Before we move off of this and get to the other parts of the race, I still want to drill in on the George Russell move. There's been debate about whether that move was legal, whether that move was, within the current racing rules. That the argument is that the wobble, Matt was explaining to me. No, dude, he wobbled when he did it, which to me
wasn't under
like
control. Wasn't under control.
He seemed pretty under control. He didn't run off track. Having a little bit of wobble as you go into a corner doesn't seem like, oh my God, he's completely out of control. But according to some, that would disqualify that move and say that was Max's position. Do you have an opinion on whether George Russell's move was legal?
I think it was legal. It was because we don't have to forget that Max's car was not on top of it, so, with the hard tire. So he had very, very low grip. So, obviously, George could be a lot more aggressive than Max. And I think he knew that. And that's why he did that attack. But I don't think, because if you penalize that one, what are you doing with then for sure you have to disqualify Max for what he did, because I think that was racing, a tough racing, and it was a restart as well. It was the first lap after the restart. So I think that you need this. If you take everything away, it's no point to watch it anymore. At some stage, there's no point. It's like They need to race. And was it on the limit? Yeah, but it was within the limit.
Vankahs, this episode is brought to you by BetMGM. Come see what's new at BetMGM. Score bigger when you win with boost tokens, odd boost tokens, and more. Even if your bet doesn't hit, we've got you covered with no sweat tokens. Sign up with BetMGM today and you'll have access to countless betting options, including new look, same game parlays, teasers, live bets, and so much more. Take advantage of these offerings and be sure to use the bonus code DADDY when signing up to receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your first bet loses. This is an exciting season. Oscar Piastri, Lando Norris, who's going to finish? Who's going to win each race? Where's Yuki Tsunoda going to wind up? You can bet on all this with BetMGM, so do it today. Use the bonus code DADDY when signing up, and again, receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your first bet loses. See you out there, Vegas.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 for New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 for Massachusetts. 21 and over only. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP for Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF for Iowa. 1-800-981-0023 for Puerto Rico. First bet offer for new customers only. Subject to eligibility requirements. Bonus bets are non-withdrawable. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. See BetMGM.com for terms. U.S. promotional offers not available in New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico.
All right. Let's move off of this. We'll discuss this a little bit more in our gas or break section, but let's move on to, should we talk, I don't know. We've got Ferrari, we've got Steak, we've got McLaren. Where should we go next, Guenther?
The McLaren thing will be very quick. They did a very good job. Huh?
Yeah.
That part of the show is they were very good. The only thing what threw them out a little bit was the Red Bull tire strategy, because the car was clearly not as fast as the McLaren, but they always stayed on there because they had this strategy with the tires. Very, very well done, And we can jump immediately to Ferrari, because also Leclerc had 2 sets of mediums, which helped him in the end, to get to the podium. That was his magic move. He was a little bit lucky as well.
Well, before we move off of McLaren, I know that they like to. This is a metaphor that people like to use in a Formula One punditry. How many does Piastri have? One hand on the championship, one finger, one nail. How many appendages now does Oscar Piastri have on the championship?
I think he has a finger on it. As we saw in Monte Carlo, Lando we cannot write him off. And the good thing is that McLaren lets them race. And I believe that, honestly, after speaking with Andrea as well, because Zach wasn't there, they let them race. And why would they not let them race? Because Max now is well behind, If Max would be closed, I think they would say we need to put our money on the better horse, on the horse which is in front. No. In the moment from behind, I think Max, there needs some magic happen that Max can catch them. It's not over. I wouldn't say it's over, but we are getting close to being over,
Well, there was all this talk about the Flexi wing in Spain. Oh my God, this is going to level the playing field. The Flexi wing.
All bullshit. I told you. I told you before in this show.
Too much runway. Do you think they told them too early that this thing was going to change? Like, if they had told them the week before, maybe?
Yeah, but then the other ones wouldn't have been prepared as well, It's the same thing, but this Flexi wing, it's the same for everyone. I think Lewis came out with the comment that all this money wasted to do this and stuff like this. There was no money wasted. It's like in the wind tunnel, you go anyway in the wind tunnel. But everybody went in to develop this one because you have to make sure that your wing is not flexing, you do that. And I just read somewhere, I didn't ask anybody, that McLaren, they just put an additional bracket on the wing so it doesn't bend this much anymore. So it was a very cheap fix, And part of it to get rid of this flexi wing was the complaining of the other teams. They complained, but what did they gain? Nothing. I mean, they gave McLaren more advantage. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. They lost
McLaren's
more.
that much better.
So next time, maybe some of the people need to shut up. It helps them more.
So they were just throwing shit against the wall, hoping that it would stick. They didn't actually know whether this flexi wing was giving McLaren an advantage or not.
I mean, for sure, it gives them an advantage, Matt, But McLaren knows exactly what they need to do with the car. If they lose the flexi wing or the effect the flexi wing gives them, they go to the wind tunnel and try to replicate what they had with to get the same balance on the car again, And maybe you cannot get 100% there, but you get 99.8% there. But all the other ones, I think most of the people had the flexi wings. I think the best execution maybe was McLaren. But it was very similar, In the end, they didn't lose anything. Or as you said, they even maybe gained something opposed to the other ones, because all the other ones hung their hope on McLaren now without this 5mm or with 5mm less flexing. They will be last. It's not going to happen,
Well, let's. You mentioned Lewis Hamilton. You mentioned Ferrari. What did this race tell you about the dynamics of the Ferrari team? Lewis, Charles, what's going on?
I think it was a tough weekend for Lewis, letting Charles being told let him buy on the same tires and everything, That must be tough for a driver, It's like, especially a 7-time world champion. But Charles was clearly faster. I mean, he just drove away, which normally doesn't happen. Normally you've got let him get closer and all that stuff, No. He let him buy, and he couldn't follow. So I think Lewis was not a happy man there.
When I know we've talked about how much leash do we give Kimi? Okay, he's got till his sophomore year. How long do we give Lewis before we say, okay, this adjustment period's over, and he just doesn't have it anymore. This isn't working.
I think for sure he got next year in the car, because with the new regulation, it's not ground effect anymore. Maybe he adapts to the new regulation better again if everybody starts at the same level. Apparently he never liked the ground effect cars, so that will be gone next year. A complete new engine, everything. Let's see where he's. But for sure he's there next year. That's for sure. I think he needs to be there next year.
All right, let's get to gas or brake, our favorite segment.
Max should get a race ban for Montreal.
Brake. I don't want that Max is not in Montreal. That's my biggest reason for it.
He's too entertaining, yeah.
Exactly. We lose all the entertainment. It's about us. It's not about him or Formula One. It's about our entertainment level, So
yeah.
Max, brake. Max needs to be in Montreal. Yeah. I think.
Yeah,
there's very few arguments against it.
You know what? I'm going to go one step further. I'm going to break even harder, and I'm going to say not only does he need to be in Montreal, but we need to wipe all his penalty points. Just give him a clean slate. You know what I'm doing, Guenther? I'm giving him a presidential pardon. Just clear That's it nice. All. Immunity.
Why do you say that? Do you think Mohammed bin Sulayem can do that? It can be done.
I think he can do a lot these days.
I think if people started, coming correct and say, Mohammed,
I'm a good guy.
Formula One was nothing without you. Look how amazing
your rally
championships.
Your rally championships are so impressive.
That's right.
I think he could get the pardon. I think he could get the presidential.
I don't know if he's loving Max Verstappen though right now, because every interview that Max Verstappen does, he says, "Well, we're not allowed to say anything, so I'm just not gonna say it."
But Max could play it clever and change completely, like other people did. The tact, and then he would get.
Good idea. I'm gonna go gas. And listen, I agree. I want to see Max Verstappen in every single one of these races. But here's the thing. If Max Verstappen's not in one of these races, then maybe the McLaren boys will be forced to actually race each other and not race Max Verstappen. Because right now, Max is making it interesting, but it's also he's the one getting in. He's the sandwich in between the stale bread and the colorful bread of Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris. And I need those two breads to fucking fight. and I need Max Verstappen out. And I think, given the fact that he wasn't given the race ban that he wasn't disqualified, I think the 10 seconds is ridiculous, and there needs to be a precedent shown that when you take action, they have consequences. Because right now, what is incentivizing Max Verstappen or anyone else on the grid from not doing this again and again and again? You need to be able to say that if you do this, there are going to be consequences. Right now, there are none. Next prompt.
Brian for president.
Max is trying to trigger his exit clause.
Break. He wants to stay there in the moment. Where is he going to go? I mean, next year, nobody knows what is going to happen, He's not going to go now. Maybe he's going to go end of 26, but not now. Because wherever he goes, there is a risk that he's going to the wrong place, And he is not going to do that. He's too smart for that one. He knows that with Red Bull, he will have some kind of a decent car. I don't know about the PU, but the car will be decent, so I don't think he's going anywhere now before he sees where everybody stacks up.
I'm going gas. If he triggers the exit clause, he's got more leverage. If he can finish lower, then he's got Red Bull by the balls. I don't know. I just think he doesn't care about finishing second, right? But if he can finish, I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. I'm just trying to disagree with you.
It's not the first time. It's not the first time. Yeah, exactly.
I was just trying to disagree with you. I don't think he's going anywhere either.
I am going to say break as well. I don't think he's going anywhere this year, but if there's a clause next year and the Red Bull is not that good, I think that he's going to have a few races like this where he's throwing away lots of points. I think that he, at this point, when he's not winning, he's okay throwing away points here and there if it means he gets to finally express his feelings. Next prompt.
Lewis is closer to retirement than an 8th championship.
Gas. I'm not saying he's retiring this year, but the 8th championship will be difficult. Very difficult. So whenever he retires, because if he doesn't make an 8th championship, he will retire before he gets the 8th championship, because he will not get it. That's my opinion.
I'm going break. Fuck that. He already won his 8th championship. Have you ever heard of 2021?
Oh.
It's already happened. Okay.
Yes, King.
All right.
Stand on business.
Yeah. How dare you, Guenther? The real prompt is he closer to his 9th championship or retire? How dare all of you? It's a fucking fucked up prompt. All right.
He actually should be closer to his 10th championship because Fernando Alonso fucked him over in 2007. How about that?
And Nico Rosberg?
And Nico Rosberg in Monaco.
No.
In Monaco when he stopped the car. You kidding me?
No. But then there's one that Massa should have probably had because of the Singapore thing. Maybe.
Because of crash.
Maybe.
Yeah. 08.
Maybe.
I thought you're all for Lewis here. Now you have to. Now you take away and give him. It's like hey.
He's all for fairness. No. He's all for what's
I'm
right.
All for
and
fairness.
What's true.
I'm all for fairness.
I am gonna go gas. I think that this Ferrari, who knows when they'll win a championship, and with Charles Leclerc in that seat, I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening with Ferrari. Period. And even if it was going to happen with Ferrari, right now, Charles Leclerc looks like
it's going to happen for Charles.
Close to that S tier. He's pretty close to that S, is how it feels to me, especially because it seems like he's getting a little bit smarter with his decisions on tires this last weekend. Next prompt. Vankahs, this episode is brought to you by Long Drink. Long Drink is a refreshing citrus soda with a premium liquor kick. Unlike the seltzers made with fermented sugar, it is a true award-winning liquor that is smooth, refreshing, and doesn't leave you with that full beer feeling the last sip. It's as good as the first. Long Drink is a citrus soda made with real liquor. It's not like these other, you know what I'm talking about. Everyone's drinking them, but then you still get that full beer feeling, not with Long Drink. Long Drink, it's gluten-free, all natural, super refreshing. And get this, Miles Teller, Kygo, and Ricky Fowler are investors. Miles Teller, you mean Rooster? Rooster! You gotta drink it. I've literally been having long drink nonstop. It's become my new favorite drink, especially on a nice summer day. We're entering summer, and you need your long drink. So you can pick up some long drink today at a store near you. Happy drinking, Vankahs.
Liam Lawson is the new Kevin Magnussen.
Gas. I had to think about what yeah. He's taking out everyone in the moment. Yeah, he doesn't care about anybody, you know. He doesn't care about anybody in the moment, you know. It's like, I just do what I want to do, and I live with the consequences, you know. Yeah. Nothing to lose, you know. Nothing to lose.
Yeah,
not
how
trying to
can
make
you not
friends.
see K-Mag when you watch him, Guenther? They're both blonde. You know, they kind of look somewhat similar. I mean, he's giving K-Mag, is he not? Are you feeling that when you watch him crash in if five people per race?
Yeah, just out because I can, you know. I don't care, you know.
What are your memories of? Do you have any memories of like talking to Kevin after a race? So it's like, so how many wings did we lose today? Like, what happened there? Or did you never talk to him about this behavior?
No, I never talked because I think Kevin did it for, you know, he wanted to get the respect from the other ones. Obviously, he mellowed in the later years, but in the beginning, he was like a machine, you know. He didn't care about anybody, you know. And in his position, he needed to be because he was critiqued a lot because he started his F1 career at McLaren, you know, and then from there went just downhill and people didn't respect him. And he said, okay, I show you what I can do, you know. So in the end, no, I never discussed it with him. I mean, I never make him pay for it, Matt, if you asked that one.
Okay. And so I'm definitely going full gas. They're both blonde. They're both from like countries you don't usually discuss in F1.
He needs a beard. Liam needs a beard now. You know, he needs to go a beard. Yeah,
he needs a beard. Neither one are trying to make friends. And you know, pass me at your own peril. You know. I might not be in the fastest car, but I'm going to make it hurt.
Yeah.
You're gonna feel it every time you make a move on me.
I'm going gas as well for all the reasons stated. It's not only if you're trying to pass me, it's when I try to pass you, I'm also going to make it hurt. That's also kind of his move. He on these overtakes, he's also crashing into people. It's beautiful to see. Honestly, we need some chaos agents on this grid because it can kind of, you know, flip races on their heads and make things a little bit more interesting. So I'm glad that Liam... previously, it's been done through just, like, pure lack of skill. I think Liam has a lot of skill, but he's just driving like a psycho recently. So I'm glad that he's there. I'm glad that K-Mag has passed the torch to Liam Lawson. Next prompt.
Mercedes' recent engine troubles are a bad sign for 2026.
Brake, nothing to do with it. I don't think that will influence the engine. Next year about the engine, we know so little or basically nothing that I wouldn't jump to a conclusion here. I'm very surprised the failures they have, but you know, they are not the only engine which has failure. Ferrari had a few in the customer cars, you know, I'm not worried about next year. Oh, I'm not worried because I don't know. I could be worried, but I don't know. So, what is happening next year?
I thought you were going to say you're not worried because you don't care.
That as well.
Oh no, Toto is having stress about his engines. Oh no. I'm going brake because I think this is and I know you disagree with me, but I think that they don't care about their engines anymore. They think this year is a wash. They're focused on their engines for next year. And if their engines blow up, that's fine. And if McLaren's engines blow up, even better.
I'm going gas. I'm going to say gas. I don't think that one is directly going to influence the other. They're going to be different engines. But the fact that they are consistently having these issues when they're supposed to be the engine guys, all they have is engine, and their engines keep crapping out.
It's not so bad. How many crapped out?
We've had like 4 in the last like 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
4?
We've had twice Kimmy, once
George.
And then we had an Aston Martin. I think we've had 4 in the last 2 or 3 races. So, they're the engine. This is what they do. They don't do downforce. They do engines. What? They don't? I mean, of course they do. Everyone, but in the whole,
Yeah, Toto
Newey,
was out here. Yeah, Toto was out here being
Adrian
ground
Newey,
effects are really hard, okay?
Yes.
Let's do an engine. Let's do the engine. Let's do the engine now.
In the engine dominant regulations, they excel.
We make the best engines.
In the aero dominant regulations, they don't. So, I'm putting 2 and 2 together. I think it is concerning that the engine guys' engines are sucking right now. Next prompt.
Steak will not finish in last place.
Gas. They will be kicking back. They are kicking back, Steak is kicking back,
Relaxing?
But
No,
they
back and doing what?
kicking
back like in
kicking
retaliation.
Back, they are kick steak, So anyways.
Right. Yes.
I think Alpine is struggling more in the moment than them. Alpine has not got only not a good car, but they have also a bad engine because they are not the engine guys like Mercedes, So they are, and in the moment, I don't think they get any better this year. And therefore, if you take the form of the cars, I mean, I know that Gasly was as well pretty good there, but I think they are struggling more than Sauber. Alpine going forward.
Now, it's interesting. Do you think that this jump is legitimate? I mean, the bottom 5 is actually going to be harder to predict than the top 5 because it seems like Alpine's in last, but but Pierre Gasly's always in Q3, so it's hard to. I'm like, is the Alpine really deserve to be in last?
But if you think about it, I think the Alpine, if they would have 2 consistent or 2 drivers like Pierre, I think they would be okay. But they keep on changing drivers. They've got an issue there. Their engine is not good. Everybody knows that. They're down on power. And now, if you would have asked this last week, I would have said, Steak, Sauber is last. But what they showed in Barcelona was proper. They gained some performance because Bortoleto qualified, I think, 12th or something like this. And Nico had a mistake in his qualifying lap in the last sector. Otherwise, he would have been up there as well. But I don't think a lot further than 12th or 11th or 13th, but he would have been there. That shows that the car got better with the upgrade they brought. I mean, it got better, but it couldn't get worse, by the way, So it's and the Alpine is just always their second car, a little bit like Red Bull. Their second car is nowhere, And the other ones they've got, Bortoleto is doing pretty well for being a rookie. I mean, he qualified 12th, Oh, in the race he didn't score points, but
now I guess my next question is: if you had to give me 5 through 10, if you had to guess, what would be 5 through 10? What's the end? How are we ending this?
5 Williams. 6 Racing Bulls, they were pretty good. And Liam Lawson seems to be stepping up now. Who else is there? Kick, Haas, Alpine, and who are we? Aston Martin.
Aston Martin.
I think between Aston and Haas is about P7. Depends a little bit if how because the Aston wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. It's getting there, and they've got a very good driver. And then I would say Steak, and then Alpine. Or Steak and Alpine will fight for the last one. I see 7 and 8 is between Haas and Aston, and 9 and 10 is between Steak and Alpine. But very close, as you say.
Pick one.
Make a decision. So, 7 Aston, 8 Haas, 9 Steak, 10 Alpine.
I like it. All right, Matt, gas or brake? Steak will not finish last. in the constructors.
I'm going Gas. I'm liking this Jonathan Wheatley guy. I think we're feeling pain of his absence at Red Bull, and he's taking some of that juju and moving it over to Steak. He was disappointed they didn't finish on the podium. I'm liking this. I'm liking this new energy.
He should be happy that they finished fifth. Jesus Christ,
Well, but that's a winner's mentality.
I need to speak with him. Did he really say that? Wow.
He was being facetious.
He was being in tongue in cheek, but he was.
Okay, tongue in cheek. He was serious about this, like Jonathan. Just
But here's the thing: he came from Red Bull. So when everyone at Steak's like, "We got P5," he's like, "Okay, everybody." Like, to him, it doesn't feel that great, probably.
Yeah, but he knows where he ended up. Yeah.
Now here's I gotta turn this around on you, Guenther. Do you think Mattia should call you and thank you for bringing Nico back onto the grid?
I think he should send me the check. Yeah,
I gotcha.
Well, I'm going to say Gas on that prompt because of one Nico Hülkenberg. Because if you look at the battle for last place, you got three teams potentially with kind of one driver. You got Alpine, you've got Steak, and you've got Aston Martin. You've got Pierre Gasly versus Nico Hülkenberg versus Fernando Alonso. Even though Lance Stroll has the majority of Aston Martin's points, we'll see what even happens.
And he's out.
The rest of the year.
He's out.
And he's out right now. So we'll see what even happens there. But Nico Hülkenberg, I like him over, Pierre Gasly for being able to bring home points, because as fast and quick as Pierre Gasly is, we know that he's a chaos agent when he gets into a position of power. Well, that does it for Gas or Break. Vegas, this episode is brought to you by True Classic. At True Classic, the mission goes beyond fit and fabric. It's about helping guys show up with confidence and purpose. Their gear fits right, feels amazing, and is priced so guys everywhere can step into confidence without stepping out of their budget. We at Vankah Hours love True Classic. I love rocking my t-shirts. They fit in all the right places. They make me look buff even when I'm not feeling buff. I look in the mirror and I say, thank you, True Classic. I'm feeling like a #1 rock star today. I've been wearing True Classic for a while now, and you can feel the difference. When you throw one on, it's tailored where you want it. It's relaxed where you need it. No bunching, no stiff fabric, no BS. Just clean, effortless fits that actually work in real life. Forget overpriced designer brands. Ditch the disposable fast fashion. True Classic is built for comfort, built to last, and built to give back. And you can grab them at Target, Costco, or head to trueclassic.com/Vankah, Vankah, and get hooked up today. We should get to Guenther. We need your Rockstar and your Wanker for the Spanish GP. Who is your Rockstar?
It isn't Max Verstappen. Who have we got as a Rockstar? Who? Nico Hülkenberg.
Yes.
Talk about him. This is the guy. You're the reason that he's here, Guenther. You're the reason that he's on the grid.
That's right. We need to give him a rock star,
Do you have any stories about Nico Hülkenberg? Any stories about what kind of made you think this is the guy, or any thing that people
I can tell you the story. I can tell you the story when I don't know if I told you the story already. In the beginning, in 2016, when we started, obviously then it was 2015, the driver should have been Nico Hülkenberg and Esteban Gutierrez at Haas. So I had lengthy conversations with Nico, made a verbal agreement, did everything, and we were actually, I was on a Zoom call with his lawyer and our lawyer to go through the contract for Nico. And then you know what he does? He calls me up on my cell phone and tells me I'm not coming. That's not nice, huh? Because he changed his mind. It's Nico Hülkenberg.
And he went to Renault? Where did he go?
No, I think he stayed at Force India one more year and then he went to Renault. I think that year, no, he stayed at Force India. He was talked in to stay at Force India, not joining us. And that was it. So when when it turned around, that obviously he was without a drive. I mean, we always stayed in touch, you know. I mean, you cannot be bitter about things, you know.
After
you stood him
up,
why not? I would never.
You're at dinner waiting with a rose and a box of chocolates, and he doesn't show up.
What goes around comes around, guys. You know that in life. You know,
exactly.
You just have time to wait. You just have time to wait. You know, there is a saying: if you wait long enough, the little arrow which was thrown will up in your ass. You know, so you know, just wait long enough, and then
that's karma, right? That's called karma. He should have received. If I was you, he would still be the fucking reserve driver at Aston Martin, because I would have never gotten over that.
No, but then again, you need to get over things, over your inner, you know, anger, and see what is the best ego, what is the best for me. Use Nico Hülkenberg, but obviously he doesn't know that I actually fucked a little bit with him, you know, and kept him. I don't know if you're still good enough. I don't know if Gene Haas actually wants you. I don't know, you know, and he was getting, you know, he didn't even try to play the game. I've got another offer anymore, because that's what they do normally, you know. Oh, if you don't give me this, I got another offer. I said, okay, if you get another offer, go and get it, you know. It's like, fine.
Did you? So there was a little bit of look who's come crawling back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there is some crawling back happened there, you know.
Yes.
And in the end, no, I would say he's a good guy. He made his decision, we made ours, but we always got along, and he was always respectful of everything, you know. So was I, just to say, because he will have an opinion if he hears that, how it goes, you know. Who is the wanker? I was almost going to say, who is it? Max? The FIA? The FIA?
Why the FIA? Oh, for not
Why
giving
the FIA?
for not.
We discussed it at length here, you know, not making a tough decision, you know, stopping doing this in the future, setting a precedent, you know. I mean, you know, it could be that as well, you know, because now Max will do the same again. And he can do, you know, everybody else can do. But no,
we've all seen the movie The Purge. You know, when it's a movie where for one day a year there's no laws, and it's like society can exist in a much healthier way if you just give people, you know, 24 hours to just do whatever the fuck they want with no consequences. Yeah. So, you know, we it's like if the consequence is high enough, the behavior will stop.
Unless you're handing out medals and more handing out penalties.
It's being philosophical about movies, you know.
Right.
Should we? No, Red Bull. They put Max on the hard tire. You're not
they had
agreeing
the
with that
audacity to ask him to give a place back, something he will never do.
And they did a perfect job until then, and then they made one quick move, and we declare them as the wankers of the week.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That is how we do it.
Ultimately gets the position of wankers of the week.
Yes.
Anything else to cover? There's Yuki.
Jesus, he's struggling up.
It's feeling like
how can we help him? Because we all love him. We all love him, huh? Because it's Yuki.
I don't know if you love him, Guenther. We love him.
Yeah, I love him. I love him. I love Yuki.
Okay.
I mean, for me, I always tell him, he's the driver which dresses best of all of them.
How about that?
Look at him. When he comes, he doesn't make any effort. That's him, you know?
Well, that's kind of a backhanded compliment. That's kind of a backhanded compliment, Guenther. You said he doesn't make any effort.
I think he makes some effort.
He makes an effort, but
his looks are pretty curated. The only thing that's missing are some Pilote shoes, but you know.
Some Pilote shoes, and also they would help him to be more on the throttle and be quicker, you know?
That's right, exactly. Maybe it'd help him figure out what's going on with that Red Bull. You know, he said, I don't know why I'm slow.
I need Pilote shoes to go fast, you know?
He needs those Pilote shoes to be able to feel the brake.
So no, that's
You think he's going to make it to the end of the year, or you think they're
he will make it to the end of the year. I think
You're
he
going to
makes
keep
it to the end
throwing
of the year.
human beings at the wall until
What do you
something
need?
sticks.
What would you need to see from him to keep him on?
Points every race. He needs to be in the top 10. He needs to be in the top 10. There is no reason not to be. I mean, we need to be. That's brutally honest, but that's what he needs to be. You know, if the other car can win races, you cannot get out. You cannot qualify last. That's just not on.
At this point, should they just put one of the V-Carb cars in the Red Bull livery and just have him drive a V-Carb, because he would be getting points every week if he was just driving that V-Carb? I mean, at what point do you just kind of build a car that this second driver can actually drive and have the two cars be, like, drastically different?
You're not allowed to do that, Brian. Just to remind you.
Why?
Because you need to build your own car.
Of course, you can't take the V-Carb literal. Okay, of course, you can't literally take the V-Carb and do that. But could you make, like, the two cars kind of drastically different, or would that just be too expensive?
That's too expensive, and you would develop two cars. I mean, that wouldn't work. That cannot work. No, he needs to get out of the. If he wants to stay in F1, he needs to get close to Max Verstappen. Otherwise, his days are numbered.
But when is
God,
it?
The
When is
second
it?
Red Bull seat is such a curse. It's crazy.
But when is it
Cursed.
a second driver problem? And when does it stop being a second driver problem? And then it's just like, okay, well, clearly they're just building a car that only one guy can drive, and it's not really a reflection on these other guys.
But if one driver can drive it, the other driver is obviously not as good as your first driver, and that's not a good
obvious
sign.
with Max Verstappen. Everyone's not as good as
Yeah,
Max,
but they're not
Max
building this
Verstappen.
car on purpose for Max Verstappen. The car is what it is, and Max can get the speed out of it, and the other ones cannot, you know. But that is not Max's fault. I mean, I need to defend him here now, you know. It's not Max's fault if he can do it, and the other ones cannot. Well, you cannot make him out to be the bad guy which wants this car. He wants a car which is easier to drive. Can you imagine how quick he would be then?
But I'm starting to think that there isn't a driver. Maybe there isn't a driver out there that could drive this other car. Like,
we would never know that.
Look at the guys who have crapped out in that thing. I mean, Alex Albon is looking like a king in that Williams. He's out driving Carlos Sainz, crushing him in the points. Pierre Gasly, as much as he's chaos once he gets into the race, he's throwing this tractor into Q3. I mean, it's Sergio Perez had the greatest season in the Formula One, in a non-competitive car in Formula One history, arguably. And look, he's now out the sport. This second car it's cursed.
It's cursed.
No.
So what can we do against the cursing, of the Red Bull? What can we? Nothing.
I don't know. They just keep
the best would be
throwing guys at it, and they keep,
The best would be Max is going to somewhere else. Max going somewhere else, and then we find a solution for it, Seeing how Max would do in another car.
Mm-hmm. But, but it's interesting because, once Max leaves, Red Bull's going to look like steak. It's going to be nowhere.
Nico Hülkenberg has more points than the entirety of the second Red Bull car this season. I saw that stat somewhere. That Nico the second Red Bull car has how many points do they have? So they've got 144 points in the championship. Max has 137. So that second Red Bull car currently is responsible for 7 points. That
Brutal.
is not good. That is bad.
That is not good.
That is not good. Yeah. So something's got to shift there. Something's got to happen. All right, Guenther. We got an off week this weekend, but Canada is our next race. Can we get some predictions for the Canadian GP?
We need to do that. We need to check. What did I predict for Barcelona? I don't remember.
I predicted that Oscar Piastri. I think you said Oscar Piastri was
Lando.
win.
Yeah.
And Max.
But yeah. And Max
I think
first.
I think you said Kimi Antonelli.
No, you said Kimi Antonelli. You said Kimi Antonelli. No, we need to, Jenny, write this down so we can see who gets closest every time, Just,
That's right. Good
There's no point to
write it now. He says, let's start keeping score.
Yeah. Who at the end of the year is the Rockstar and the Wanker between the three of us,
Okay,
So,
I like it.
Yeah.
All right, so now that we're playing for points, who do you got for Montreal?
I got Oscar, Lando, and it's not the Red Bull. I don't see the Red Bull. I don't see it. I don't see it.
He's really rubbing. Oh my God! Now he's playing for points. He's taking it seriously.
George.
Ooh.
Okay.
Mercedes engine, very much engine, in Montreal.
See, you know what? I could just shadow your trades and just pick everybody that you picked. That's the problem. But because I have integrity, and I don't think you're correct, I will say Max, Oscar, Lando.
I will also say Max coming back from this week with a win. I think that I've been saying it all year. The tracks where he excels look a lot like this Canadian track. High speed on a street. I think that Max is going to be sharp.
Might rain.
Good in his favor. I think that Lando will get second. I think that Oscar will get third. How about that? How about them apples? We'll see where we wind up at the end of the year. We'll do an update on the next episode to see how the points are tallied so far. But that does it for us over here at Vankah Hours. Make sure you are subscribed. Right now, we are the 11th sports podcast in the United States on Spotify. Let's get those numbers up. Let's stay on them charts.
Subscribe.
Yeah, that's
right.
We want to go into the top 10. We want to go into the points, to start off with. Then we want to win. Yeah.
That's right. Until next time, Vankahs.
Goodbye, Wankers.
Goodbye, Vankas.